So welcome everybody. Very, very excited for this virtual AMI event as a lead into what's coming in just another month being together. But it's a delight for me. I've been with AMI now 10 years, so this is
Woo,
somewhere in and around my 10-year anniversary. So I'm
woo.
I'm excited to see you all and take on this little new role today for this virtual event around
Grandchildren.
AI, around our relationship with AI. Um, we've got a very special guest who's going to be leading the show, Kyle Shannon. We'll introduce Kyle in a moment. But before we get into this, I'd like you to just in the chat respond to this provocation. Share 3 words in the chat that characterize your relationship with AI. And we say, relationships is kind of a weird word. We have relationships with humans, with people, but we have relationships with inanimate objects too. This is a mug I just got. It celebrates the centennial of Robert H. Goddard. And I can tell you more when we go to breakout rooms, if I'm in your group, about both the cup and this mustache and Robert H. Goddard. So, what is a relationship, or how do you characterize in 3 words your relationship with AI? Put that in the chat for us. Curious. Top 1%. Ooh, that's interesting. And that the explanation of that in the breakout would be interesting to hear. Brand new, great. Time saver, Rob. Hello, Rob. Tom, nice to see you, Tom. First time in a very long time. Good to see you again. Curious, dense, hopeful, lots of emotions there. Yeah, yeah. The specific application. So great. We've got a real wonderful range. And as we lean into our breakout in a few moments, you'll have a chance to share with each other. Okay, so as we do with all of our AMI events, in person and virtual, we begin with our values. And I can tell you again, thinking the last 10 years, and especially for those that are new to AMI in this virtual event, these values really are lived and they're genuine. So I guess authenticity it shows up in our values and actually how we live those values. But the 2 I want to call your attention to today, most importantly, is curiosity and deferring judgment. So in the context of AI, in the context of this playful experimentation you'll be experiencing today, think curiosity, right? Really focus on what are you wondering? What are you curious about? Be in that experimental mindset, that experimental self of yourself. And the second, defer judgment. There's a lot of mental perspective we can put into AI and think in the broader context and its implications and application. Put that to the side for just now so that you can really dive in open-mindedly, trying it on, seeing what's possible for yourself. Really take that deferred judgment value, to heart for this experience. And you will have a chance as I lean into what is coming next as we get together. Hopefully, you have booked your reservations for the AMI annual gathering here in Boston for, I don't know if it's the first time, but certainly the first time in the last 10 years where we'll be welcoming you. And if you haven't signed up, let me just give you a little glimpse of what's going to be happening during our days together in April. So it's spring in Boston and it will be. So let's hope it'll be a little bit warmer than it is today. But thinking about flowers blooming, we've got a metaphor of petals here. So the 5 petals of our AMI gathering in Boston are all centered around the theme of becoming students again, rethinking and reimagining maybe ourselves and what we do and how we thrive in the world with AI. And the 5 petals of that will first space and place. both historically, so you'll have an opportunity to walk the Boston Innovation Trail. It's like the Freedom Trail, but applied to all the phenomenal innovations, many of the phenomenal innovations that started right here in Boston. So from the revolution to textiles to computers to vaccines. So we'll be taking a walk down the Boston Innovation Trail. That's looking historically. Looking towards the future, we've got a wonderful session on smart cities, and that will be hosted by Nigel Jacob, who's with Boston Mayor's Office, and he'll give us a perspective on Boston as a leader in smart cities and the application of AI in that way. Then looking to the right, we got society and ethics. We've got Dr. Kansu Kanka, founder of the AI Ethics Lab. So she'll be leading us through a conversation about that intersection of society and ethics and AI. Moving to makers and funding, this is where the action happens, right? This is how do we actually create value for ourselves and the world around us? And what are the support systems that can help us? So leading off with our hosts, you'll have an opportunity on Wednesday to join us at the Babson AI Generation Lab. Eric Noyce, who is a AMI member, he will be our lead host. And he's got students that have volunteered to really take a lead role in helping design the Boston conference. And so they will be there to welcome you and kick off our AMI gathering and event. There'll be a panel on how we fund this, JP Morgan AI startup panel, thinking about startups within AI. and how to be successful. And then from a community standpoint, on Thursday of the second day of our event, we'll be going to the Cambridge Innovation Center's Venture Cafe. So you'll get an experience, both the tour of the Venture Cafe, and then in the evenings they have place where we'll be joining other entrepreneurs and AI startups in conversation to share and exchange lessons and learning. So you'll have a real opportunity to be in community. Then moving to tech-enabled thriving, this is a focus on ourselves and us, right? How are we showing up as humans, not just to survive, but to thrive in the context of AI. So resilience, and how do we personally make our sense of it and live in a thriving way. The X factor, that's the unknown. That happens at the cross sections of all the interactions you'll be having with each other. And I can tell you from experience with those hospitalities, the evening hospitality rooms that, I said I would just join for 15 or 20 minutes and then 45 minutes in a conversation with John Cimino, there I'm still there engaged. So who knows what's going to happen there. That's the X factor. Please join us. If you haven't registered, consider doing that. So with that, we are now going to lead into our AMI virtual community gathering. We're going to kick off the activity with what we call gifts in the Zoom. Usually gifts in the room if we're in person, but in this case, gifts in the Zoom. So this is a breakout. We'll then move to introducing Kyle, and Kyle will take us on the hands-on AI readiness workshop. Then we'll take a few minutes to talk about what's on the horizon. And if you do want to stay for the last half hour, you'll have an opportunity to just stick around in the hospitality suite and visit with us. So without further ado, uncovering the gifts in the Zoom. So you've already been introduced to the climate setter, if you will, that we're using to spark the conversation. So a chance for you to share with 4 or 5 others in your breakout. So be conscious of time. You'll have 15 minutes and 2 to 3 each. And Laura, if you would send our group there.
All right, is everyone ready? I've got the rooms ready to go, and we'll see you all in just a bit here.
Let me just invite folks maybe from a couple of the groups to share some headlines of what showed up and what showed up, what surprises you.
Karen's husband has created a board of directors for his business using avatars.
Wow.
Oh, is that right? So an AI set of board
A,
members.
a
Ooh.
board, actually, it's actually more correctly called a board of advisors, not a board of directors, but yeah, he's created, I think there's five, I call them guys, five guys, but five bots that he's given different backgrounds to. So there's a technologist, there's a marketing person, there's whatever the other five are. And he poses questions to the board, but he also, and they respond, but he also has them, kind of going against each other, right? So marketing guy might say one thing, technology guy might say the
Ah,
other thing. And yeah.
It
so you're
sounds like the advisors and civilizations. Back
Yeah.
when
Mm.
is
I'd be
ensure
curious
different
to know
perspectives.
how they communicate together.
I have no idea. I'm reporting
Yeah,
secondhand what I have heard.
I'm gonna try. Yeah.
Happy to give you his email. You can talk, you want to have a chat. I'm sure he's up for it, but
Thank you. Any others? Any?
There was a lot of energy in our group again. All of those people belong in AMI, every one of them.
I'm sure it's a unique group. Um, any last reflections or things you want to share?
So I shared with my group that my daughters, who late 20s, early 30s, they are very anti-AI. Um, and I don't know if that's a generational thing. So I feel like I have to sneak around and not talk about my use of AI very much with them. Part of it is environmental concern about the impact of these huge data centers on the environment. The other part is I think there's concern about positions and jobs being lost to AI. So that's a little different experience that I've had.
Thank you for sharing, Lynn. Yes, and if folks could go on mute, there seems to be some echo in here. But if you've got something to share, please come off mute and we'll take one more comment before we dive into our session. It sounds like you're ready to move. Okay, so let's begin. I'm going to uh, last slide to share. And there we go. So a quick welcome now to Kyle Shannon. So well, for folks that don't know me, I've been with AMI for 10 years now, and come from a Synectics background, but had the pleasure of sharing a beginning idea back in, I think, 2017, of taking creative problem solving to youth. So that is now Imagine Core. So that's now the organization I'm with, plus a little organization that does the consulting Possibility Bridge. So that's me. Kyle is welcome to Kyle. I've been working with Kyle for, I don't know, about 6 or 7 years now. Kyle has founded a wonderful company that called Storyvine that helps people communicate their stories and collect stories so that they can be communicated in a powerful way. And the last, I don't know, Kyle, 5 years or so, he's been the champion within a collaborative we're both part of around AI and helping us all to experiment with the possibilities. And so with that, I'm delighted to welcome Kyle, and I will go off screen and stop sharing and invite Kyle to come on and take us through this next bit of a journey.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Joe. Thank you all. Really nice to be here. Just want to make sure you can see my screen.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So really nice to meet you all. I'll give you a little bit about my background. My career has been always at the intersection of new technology and self-expression or storytelling. I was there for the early days of the World Wide Web. I created a company called agency.com and built a lot of the websites for the Fortune 500 and started Storyvine in 2012. Had an idea that making authentic short form videos shouldn't be such a hard thing. And we do a lot of work in healthcare and pharma. And then in 2022, when ChatGPT came out, I was enamored with it and thought, this is ChatGPT does for AI and machine learning what the World Wide Web did for the internet, which was it made it accessible to people who are not, scientists and engineers and researchers and things like that. But it seemed like it was going to be way, way bigger. So I created a thing called the AI Salon, which is it's right now a community of about 4,000 people that are AI forward and curious about AI and trying to figure it out. I also have a learning channel called the AI Learning Lab, where I go live 5 nights a week, believe it or not, talking about AI because I'm not well mentally. But one of the things that I want to talk about today is AI is moving incredibly quickly, like incredibly quickly. It started the end of 2025, started really accelerating. And if you look at some of the numbers, it is remarkable how few people are actually using it and know what's going on. I saw one study that was a global study of all 8 billion people on planet Earth, and about 3/4% of humans on Earth are paying for an AI subscription. So more than 99% of people are either using the free version, or like 64% of them don't use AI at all. And this stuff is coming really, really quickly. The other thing that I'm seeing is there's a lot of anti-AI sentiment. And I think a study just came out that 17% of Americans have a positive view of AI. So that means 83% are against it, right? So we're in this thing where AI is moving very, very quickly, and we've got a lot of people that have no idea what's happening. One of the things that I'm really passionate about, and what most of my work centers around right now, is about helping people reclaim their agency in a world where there's a lot of conversation about us being against AI, or like AI is happening to us, rather than us, having our own agency. And so the combination of people not knowing what's going on with AI and hang on a sec. The combination of that and it moving so fast, I keep saying that things are going to get weird, things are going to get weird. And on one of my lives a couple of weeks ago, I said it again, things are going to get weird. And someone said to me, Kyle, what does weird look like? And so I want to share something with you that's new thinking. And it's something that I call the 7 economies. And it's my contention that what's about to happen in the world is about to splinter into effectively 7 different economies. And what I mean by an economy is just people working at a level of AI adoption where they're kind of living in their own bubble. And I see 7 of these, and I'll walk through them quickly. And one of the things that I like about this model is that it allows you to very, very quickly understand where you are right now, and then maybe even where you want to be, either as a business or as an individual. So the 7 different levels are effectively levels of AI adoption. And so economy 1 is what I call the analog economy. And the analog economy is, I'm tapping out. I'm going to grow blueberries. I don't want anything to do with your AI stuff. I'm done. I'm going to go dig in the dirt, sit in a hammock, and be done, right? And I'll go sell stuff at the farmer's market, whatever it might be. So the analog economy. I think that economy, as AI starts to proliferate, is going to grow and become more and more robust. The legacy economy, economy 2, is basically companies that know AI is going on, but they choose not to deal with it. They just go, here's my business model. This works. I'm not going to change anything. And I'm just going to run my business as is. And if it doesn't end up working out, so be it. economy 3 is what I'm calling the efficiency economy. And I think there's a lot of people dabbling in AI right now live in economy 3, which is I'm going to use AI like I've always used computers, which is to make my current processes more efficient. And AI can certainly do that, but all you're doing is accelerating the stuff you already do, which lays to economy 4, which is these are companies that recognize, oh, we can make things more efficient, but AI allows us to do innovative things. So we're going to make what we do more efficient, and maybe we'll spin off innovation pods, things like that. So those first 4 economies are essentially some version of business as usual, where the transition economy is doing some innovation, but they're essentially moving on the same path. The last 3 economies, the AI first frontiers, I'm calling them, are where things get really interesting and where things are transforming incredibly quickly. The AI aggressor economy, economy number 5, there's a guy you probably know named Jack Dorsey. He was the founder of Twitter, and he's got a company now called Block. And about a week and a half ago, he laid off 4,000 of his 10,000 employees, not because they needed to cut costs. He actually, in his note, said, we're profitable and we're growing, but I'm going to lay 4,000 of you off because what we're learning is that our employees, amplified by AI that is getting better and better and better, working in smaller, flatter groups is transforming the way companies are started and run. And so what he's looking at is taking an existing concern with an existing customer base, but understanding that AI is about to change everything, and he's aggressively going after that transformation. So I think that's a really interesting, that one's going to be led from like the C-suite down, where the leaders just go for it. Economy number 6 is the AI native economy. And I think what this is going to look like is people get laid off from their companies, and maybe 4 or 5 of them get together and they get all really good at AI. And they put together a fully AI powered company that reimagines the kind of company that they left. So what I think you're going to see happen in economy 6 is these are going to be really innovative companies that go after companies in economies 2, 3, and 4, and potentially even economy 1. Economy 6 is going to be, they're going to be fun companies to be a part of. They're going to move fast. They're going to break things. They're going to break. It's going to be a mess, but it's going to be really exciting. And then economy number 7 is absolutely bizarre. It's going to be surreal. It's going to feel like an acid trip. Economy number 7 is if you've heard in the past month or so, there's this open source project called OpenClaw. And what it is it's a piece of software you install on a local computer, and you essentially spin up a 24/7 employee that can do things for you. It can learn how to use software. It can go surf the internet. It can do research. And then you can spin up multiple of these. And so what Economy 7 is going to look like is single operators running multiple companies of 10, 20, 50 of these agents that are running on a chip on their desk. And the little quote I have there is, yes, I manage 23 companies now. Why do you ask? Economy 7 is going to be really weird, where you're going to see companies that have an extraordinary amount of revenue that are moving very, very quickly, that have a single employee or 2 or 3 employees. If you're in economy 2, 3, or 4, and you talk to someone in economy 7, it's going to be like you're talking to someone from another planet. So an interesting thing to do is, as I've been going through those, just ask yourself, where's your company, or where are you in this continuum, and where do you want to be? Before I came up with this model, I used to kind of think like, you either don't use AI, or you're sort of on this jetpack to get out there. And now that I see this and have been getting feedback on it, people are very, very quickly going, oh, I'm in economy 3, but I want to be in economy 5, or I'm here. And I'm hearing a lot of people loving economy 1. So they're just saying, oh, I want to be in economy 1. I'm done with all this tech stuff. I see a lot of other people that are excited about being in economy 6 or 7. I've had a number of people reach out to me and say, I'm in economy 1 and 7. So most of my time I'm in economy 1, just like being on the farm, but I'm also spinning up this business. So I just put this here as a way to say, no matter where you are on the spectrum of adoption, that's cool. That's where you are. And over the next 3 to 5 years, it's going to take us a long time for these different economies to kind of assimilate. So with that, any thoughts and questions? I have a minute or two before we jump into the next thing. So I'm just curious if there's any thoughts or questions on this particular slide or concept.
What's the significance of which ones the roads are leading to? I see why the light blue one doesn't have a road because it's a spin-off.
That's just because the image generator that I used to create this screwed it up. I think the more significant thing is what it got right here was that the four economies on the left, the established and evolving paths, that's essentially business as usual. And then the AI first frontier companies, those are the ones that are just going to sort of accelerate out away from us. There's no real significance to what goes off the bottom, other than it looks cool.
Kyle, I have a question about the first piece of data that you put out there around like an indicator of people who have agents or who have not yet paid for it.
Not
I
just AI at all, like ChatGPT.
Yeah, I'm guilty of I have maybe like 6 different AI tools, and if one tells me I've run out of prompts, I just go to a different AI tool and use that one instead.
Yep.
But what I really want to know, I'm assuming that if I stuck with one and let it build and work with me, that it would be way better. But I don't know. Like, can you spend just a second on like if it's worth it to purchase that?
Yeah, I think in general it is worth it. I historically have just said just get ChatGPT. ChatGPT's gotten kind of lousy in the past 3 months or so. They've kind of lost the plot. But it's still an incredibly powerful tool. I would say either ChatGPT or Claude from Anthropic are the two that are worth paying for. Here's why it's worth paying for them. They have memory, and the more you use a tool, like all of the chatting that you do within ChatGPT, it gets stored in memory and it actually informs your chats moving forward. So I can go into ChatGPT right now after using it for 3 years. And I can say, based on what you know about all of my projects, I want to, tell me anything that we've talked about that involves agriculture or whatever it might be, and it'll just pull that up. Or based on what you know about me and my writing style, write a thing here, and it actually knows what that means. ChatGPT itself used to be a single tool. It's actually about 30 to 35 distinct, unique tools that are really an ecosystem, and those amount of features are growing. So picking a single tool and running deep on it, I think, is very, very valuable. You get more tokens, but taking the time to learn all of the things that it has possible to you, and we'll explore a little bit of that today. But I think it's worth paying for, indeed. But if you're not going to use it, like this is like a gym membership, if you're not going to use it, you don't need to, because the free services are really quite powerful. But it's that accumulation of knowledge about you over time is actually really important.
Hey, Kyle, I like the way you've laid this out. I have one question. In your opinion, being in this space very heavily, what's the long-term viability of businesses in 2 and 3?
So what I think it looks like, I think there will be some businesses in Economy 2 that survive, but Economy 2, for the most part, is on a train track, headed to a pass with the bridge where the bridge is out. How long it takes those companies to get there, if they don't adopt AI at all, I don't know. Some will probably survive, but 2 feels like a crapshoot to me. Like if you're just like, I've got 3 or 4 years until I'm going to sell the company or wind it down, and I'll just take my chances and go. Then I think Economy 2 is fine. Like I think choosing any of these is fine, but it's just like know what you're getting into. Mm-hmm. I think that what's going to happen is this. I think that Economy 7 is going to kind of do its own thing. It may come after some of these companies, but I think Economies 5 and 6, I think the AI aggressor companies that are going to completely transform themselves, and especially Economy 6, AI native companies that are just like small teams full in on AI. I think Economy 6 is going to heavily go after 3 and 4. Whoa, and so I think if you're just running your company, just using AI to make it more efficient, what's going to end up happening is you're going to start competing against companies that can deliver better than you at half or a quarter of the price that you're solving. Like why this is going to get weird is the rules are going to change, but no one's going to tell you. Right. So economy 6 companies are just going to start setting new rules of delivery and pricing and efficiency and value that customers are going to start expecting. And so you're going to start coming up against competitors where it literally just cognitively doesn't make sense. They shouldn't be able to do that, and yet they are.
Thank you.
It's like Eastman Kodak.
It is totally. I think we're about to enter a decade of Eastman Kodak moments where some young punk is going to walk into the C-suite and go, "Hey, boss, I got a cool idea. And get the hell out of here, kid. You don't know which business we're in." And it's just going to be, I think there's just going to be train wreck after train wreck after train wreck of Kodak moments.
And
there should be.
Oh, and people just didn't pay attention because they said, well, we'll always have to have film. How could there be a life without it?
We're in the silver halide business, boys. Yeah, exactly. And they're,
you should have added. Pardon me, I'm interrupting. You should have added another economy, is the train wreck economy. Definitely. I was recently speaking to, I was waiting for my flight and it was delayed, and I started talking to someone, and he was a designer for a medical group, a very large corporation. And he said, I design medical equipment. I said, wow, AI is fantastic for you because it can really help you with that. More particularly when he told me, I didn't know, but 80% of the work in designing is just administrative work. The design part represents only 20% of the time. So I say, well, that's fantastic because the 80% of it, AI can help you doing it, and you say, we are forbidden to use it. We are absolutely, totally forbidden. No one can use AI at work, whether it's on the company computer or personal computer at work, forbidden. And that's a big corporation. So that's definitely going to be a trend.
Yeah, that's going to be, you're going to be an economy too. And listen, corporate inertia, if you're in a big company, that inertia will take a while, but at some point there's an iceberg sitting there, and they're going to be like little. It's going to be more like the pirate boats, in the ocean, going after big super tankers. All right, so let's jump into the thing. I'm going to talk about the cycle of AI readiness. So this is an AI readiness workshop. A lot of people right now are trying to figure out, how do we use the tools? How do we do prompting? How do we do this? How do we do that? What I'm going to offer you is a different way to think about AI, where you don't have to worry about the tools. You don't have to keep up with the technology. You don't have to learn all the stuff. But it's a shift in mindset. And the basic idea where this came from, this idea is in the AI salon, people just started being curious about AI and using it. And the people who were doing remarkable stuff, in speaking with them, we realized that they were all doing essentially the same thing. They were putting themselves at the center of the conversation. So it wasn't about how can I use ChatGPT or how can I use this AI? It was like, here's something that I'm passionate about. And I'm going to use AI as an amplifier of my ideas, an amplifier of my identity. And then these three modes, play first, create excellence, and generously lead, that's what we're going to go through today. But these are tool agnostic. These are kind of ways of being, different modes you can be in, where you're sort of sitting at the center of this conversation. So what I'd like to do is start with this idea of you at the center. And the basic idea here is, when you think about using AI is very seductive because it's fast and it's clever. And once you sort of, tap into it and understand what it can do, it gets very exciting. And so it's very easy to just, sit down at AI and just lose 4 hours of your life. And you have all this stuff you created and you're like, what do I do with all this? It can be very overwhelming very fast. So a good thing that we're exploring in the AI Salon is this idea of starting a daily practice around AI. So every time you sit down with AI, just take a moment, just take a breath, and think about, what is your intent for that session? Some things you can start to think about are things like, who am I? What do I value? Who do I care about? What difference do I want to make for those people? Maybe even you have an idea. What's your idea? Just take some time to have a moment and make it about you. So one of the biggest mistakes people make with AI is they treat it kind of like a vending machine. I'm going to put in this prompt and I'm going to get out my answer, right? And they treat it kind of like Google. Google has taught us to do that. What you can do is you can say, no, 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 no. Like AI is not in charge. AI is not the genius here. I'm the genius here. And so just sit, take a moment and say, who are you? What do you want? What do you value? Who do you care about? And just take that moment. And now let's go through these kind of 3 cycles, and we'll start the workshop. The first mode of being is what we call play first. And this is, in my opinion, probably for the next 5 years, this is actually a critical part of using AI, like a critical part of it, because it is advancing so fast. Even I don't know what's possible with AI. As much time as I spend on it, I have a good idea, but I don't know what's possible with it until you actually play with it. And the problem is this, that economy 3, where people are just using AI for efficiency. If you've got a particular, we write these kind of emails in this kind of way, and we're going to use AI to make that process more efficient. That works, but it cuts you off from all the possibilities of understanding all the other things that you can do. And that's where play comes in. And play starts to look like exploring AI without expectations, right? If I go in and I say, I want to make my email process more efficient, I'm only going to look at AI through that. Exploring without expectations is like, I'm just going to go play with things. Play with purpose. So you know what you're interested in, you know what you value, you know who you're who you care about. As you go play with these different tools, think about all the different, yous that you are, right? Play with purpose and say, oh, I'm going to go do something creative over here. I'm going to go do something business-wise over here. Just literally go play with purpose. And the third thing is learn across domains. And this is a really powerful one. And this is where I'm going to center the beginning of our exercise, is around learn across domains. So, in your life, there's things you're good at. There's the things you went to school for. There's the things you learned, on the job. There's the stuff you can do. And then there's also stuff that you can't do. Right? One of the things that you discover when you start playing with AI is you kind of discover this question. What if you could just do stuff now? Even the stuff you suck at, right? Like even the stuff that you're like, no, I know I'm not good at math. I'm definitely not good at math. Well, what if you were? Oh, right? Or I'm not creative. I can't, well, what if you were? Oh, that changes things. There's a concept that I've stumbled upon called aching gaps. Like we all have these gaps in our life, and some of them are aching gaps. And aching gaps are those things that are like, oh, if only I could draw. I would know exactly what I would do with my life if I had that talent. We now live in a world where that's a possibility. And so I'm going to put up 6 things here, and I'm going to run off. We're going to do a little, we're going to go do these things, but I'm going to encourage you to play along. So what I want you to think about is this. So if you ever say to yourself something like, I'm not musical, I want you to go to suno.ai and I want you to type in, make me a blues song about blank. I'm going to do gardening as my example here. You replace gardening with whatever you're interested in. Could be a puppy, could be a niece, could be your business, doesn't matter. I'm not musical. The next one is, I hate research. I'm going to have you go to perplexity.ai and say, research the history of blank, English gardens, whatever your thing is. I'm not a coder. This is one I hear all the time. I'm not technical. I'm not a coder. I've got ideas, but I'm not a coder. Okay, what if you were? I want you to go to lovable.dev and type in, make me a video game. And you can be doing these right now if you want. Make me a video game about gardening or whatever your topic is. And to be clear, these prompts are purposefully bad. These are really thin. If you know anything about prompt engineering, these are crappy prompts. Go to lovable.dev. I'm not organized. You can upload a picture. If you've got handwritten notes, you can upload that picture to ChatGPT and say, organize these notes for me. And it does a remarkable job. So organize these flowers by season. I can't draw. Sketch me a modern kitchen window garden. And I'm bad at math. how much do I need for a 12, how much mulch do I need for a 12 by 8 garden? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over here to a web browser. And what I'd like you to do is play along here. How are we doing time-wise? We've got 25. We have to do this really quick. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through here. Hopefully you're on one of these sites and you're putting in one of these prompts. I'm just going to submit all of these prompts. So here, we're going to make a song here. And then I'm going to go to Perplexity and we're going to do some research here, research the history of English gardens. And then I'm going to go to Lovable and I'm going to say, make me a video game about gardening. If you're on Lovable and this little, see this little blue chat bubble, that is, you're going to turn that off. That's a planning mode. We're just going to go straight in. We're just going to build us a game. Is it going? Yeah, I think it's going. Yep, there it goes. This one is, I wrote on the whiteboard just a whole bunch of flowers. And I'm going to say, organize these flowers by season, type, with guidance. I don't even know what that means. Bad prompt, but let's see what that does. Here I'm also in ChatGPT. Sketch me a modern kitchen window garden. And I'm going to click on the plus button here and say create image. And then we're going to go pick a style. So I'm going to go, I think somewhere back here is a sketch style. So I'll do this ink work. Try it. Let's see. No, I don't want to do that. All right, whatever. We'll just submit this as is. And then the last one, how much mulch do I need for a 12 by 8 garden? And so we're going to jump in and hit that. And so now we're going to go back to the beginning and we should have a song here. So make me a blues song about gardening. If you have not played with Suno, it's absolutely remarkable. So in the time that it took me to push the submit button on 6 of those things, we've got 2 songs now that are a blues song about gardening.
Got my shovel leaning by that crooked gate. Coffee gone cold, but I still ain't late.
I'll play the other one here. So anyway, so if you're not musical, now you are. Let's see if we get some research on English gardens. Here's a whole bunch of research on English gardens. If you haven't used Perplexity, Perplexity is really, really good at this stuff. At research, and it gives you sources and things like that. So every little piece of research in here, it's got a source where you can go check it. A lot of times, large language models will hallucinate and make stuff up. What's nice about Perplexity is because it gives you sources, you can actually go check all your research. If you put these models into what's called deep research mode, it goes and goes way deeper than you might know is even possible. It's kind of remarkable how good they are at doing things like, reading websites and reading papers and things like that. Let's see. I'm going to say just make it. You choose. It's asking me for a bunch of decisions. Oh, there's our game. Garden Grove. Welcome to your garden. So I don't know what we do here. Oh, it's a matching game. Oh, look, I matched some things. Oh, no, they're all the same. Planted a carrot, now water it. Oh, I see. Whatever. Oh, so, okay. So I planted some things. Now I've got to go water them. All right. So I'm watering my plants. We just coded a game. If you're not a coder, and you've never made a video game before, now you have. Let's see, flower organization. So here's the whiteboard I did. And then assuming Denver front range conditions, here's a clean way to organize the list. Spring bulbs and early bloomers, tulips and daffodils, guidance, plant the bulbs in the fall, not the spring. Cool season, spring flowers, pansies and snapdragons, right? So you weren't organized, now you're organized. What's this one? Oh, you're not good at sketching. Sketch me a modern kitchen garden, window garden. There you go. Didn't sketch it, but that's okay. It designed it for us. So that didn't exist before. Now it does. And then what's the mulch calculation? For a 12 by 8 garden, you have 96 square feet of mulch. And then here's how many cubic feet you need. So there you go. So let me just pause right there and check in with everyone and ask questions, thoughts, anything surprising in what you created?
I'm never going to read a book again, I'm afraid.
Oh, this is insanely addictive, which is why take the moment before you sit down, be a little intentional with it. It will prevent that a little bit. The other thing that's really good with AI is if you know the Pomodoro technique where you just set a timer. So like just set a timer on your phone for 45 minutes and just when that timer goes off, just take a break and just take a moment and say, okay, where am I? Did I accomplish what I wanted? But awesome. Other thoughts, other insights, questions?
I'm going to have it design my garden.
Yeah. Oh, it's really good at that. One of the things you can do, take a picture of your garden. Take a picture of your garden as it is, and then tell it to do whatever. And you can, the other thing you can do is you can take a picture of your garden and then do a really bad sketch of like, you know, I want this kind of, I want vegetables here. I want flowers here. I want a path here. And you can upload the photograph of your garden and the really bad sketch, like really bad, like horrible, bad drawing sketch, and say, make it look like this, you know, on this image, and it will do that for you. Like this is when you put yourself at the center and you say, here's the things I care about. And then you start playing with AI. All of a sudden, AI doesn't become this evil, mean, robotic thing that's going to destroy the world. It becomes this like, oh, I've kind of got superpowers now. Like your relationship with it just completely changes. And you'll get mad at it and it's janky and it's horrible sometimes. And then other times it's absolutely magical. And so this approach of taking a playful approach to how you learn AI, this is how you understand what it makes possible. So now let's move on to the next phase of the cycle of AI readiness, which is create excellence. So think of play as how you're going to learn, because there's no books on this right now. There's no experts. There's no manuals. All of the training that was created a year ago for how to do prompt engineering is irrelevant now. Everything has changed, and it's going to be like that for some time. So play is how you learn. Create excellence is, okay, now that we've got some knowledge and we understand what's possible, now I want to take this idea I have and I want to take it to the next level. I want to create something actually useful, something useful for my business, something useful for my family or my community or whatever it might be. Couple of things to do. This is about raising your game. There's a lot of talk right now about AI slop, right? And AI slop is just people mindlessly, you know, putting coins in the vending machine and just, you know, dumping content out on the internet. Raising your game is about saying, hey, I want to take something and I want it to represent me. I want to create something that I'm excited to share with the world, amplified by all these tools. So that's raise your game. And then professionalize your practice is really start thinking about, if you're doing this kind of stuff for business, understanding privacy and ethics and how these things work and what hallucinations are, and just really understanding the nuance of this is kind of how you up your game. But what we're going to do right now, I want everyone to take a quick minute. We've got some time. This is good. I want everyone to take a quick minute, and I want you to think about, just close your eyes if you would, just indulge me for a moment. You're going to take a deep breath. I just want you to think about who you are, and like who you are, not like your work. Like one of the things that we're about to confront as a society is the tasks that we've spent our whole life getting good at are being democratized. And so if they're being democratized, they're being devalued. So we're all about to confront some form of an ego death of, well, wait, if the skills I have are no longer as valuable as they once were, well, what does that mean about me? So I want you to just take a deep breath, close your eyes, take a deep breath. And I want you to just think about like who you are, like Don't think about what you do. Think about how you show up at work. Think about how you show up for your family. Think about how you show up in your community. And then think underneath that who you have to be able to show up that way. Right? Are you the one that makes people laugh? Are you the one that educates people? Are you the one that makes people feel safe? Are you the one that makes sure things get done? And now what I want you to think about is who's a group of people that you really care about? And it could be a small group. It could be your family. It could be a small community group. It could be your bridge club. Who's a group of people that you really care about? And then I want you to think about, and I want you to write that down. Write down the group of people that, like right now, you're feeling like, oh, you know who I really care about? Write down that group right now. And now I want you to think about what's a challenge that they're facing? What's a challenge that if you solved it, it would make a huge difference for them, for the world, for you? What's a challenge? What's something that that group faces that would be incredibly powerful if you could make a dent in that challenge, in that problem? And I want you to write that down. What's that challenge? It can be a word, can be a sentence, doesn't matter. And then the third thing I want you to think about is, what do you value? Do you want to entertain? Do you value integrity? Do you value generosity? What is that part of who you are that shows up in a certain way? What are some of those values? One or two or three, and just write down what you value. And so those three things are going to become part of a recipe that I'm going to have us design. So we're going to go to ChatGPT, and I'm going to do this along with you. And so what we're going to do right now is we're going to build out a prompt. So let me talk about prompting for a second. There's a lot of talk. You will see lots of, if you start paying attention to AI, you're going to see lots of courses and certifications and workshops on prompt engineering and how to prompt, and you can do this and prompt that, prompt that, prompt that. Here's the secret about prompting. Prompting is about giving the AI enough context, enough information about who you are and what you want to be able to reflect that back to you. That's it. All of the structured prompting things that you can learn, they're all effective, but what they're all effectively doing is just giving you different frameworks to be able to tell the thing what you want. So what we're going to do here is we're going to build up some context, and we're going to have ChatGPT understand something about it. So the first thing that I want you to type into ChatGPT is that thing you wrote down. I care deeply about these people. So in my case, my example that I'm going to build something off of is I care deeply about people who are about to be affected by AI. Okay, so I want you to type that into the prompt. I don't want you to hit return yet. We're going to build a 3-sentence prompt. So there's going to be one prompt. And if you already hit return, that means you have ADHD. Welcome to the club. I've got a laminated card. It's awesome. I would have been way ahead by now. So if you've done that, good on you. But if you follow directions, if you have a functional prefrontal cortex, now I want you to write the next sentence. I care deeply about these people, period. They are challenged with some challenge. So in my case, they are challenged with uncertainty about their work, identity, and future. And then the third sentence that I want you to write is that something you value is important to me. So in my case, it was human agency, community, and self-expression are important to me. The other thing that I'm going to tell you right now is I did not pre-test this concept in ChatGPT. I think it's going to work, but it could fail miserably, but that's okay. Part of working with AI is that you can't really mess up, right? It just goes and goes and goes. So that's going to be our prompt, okay? Now, before you hit submit, I want you to type one other sentence. There's a way that you can use the ChatGPT prompt box. If you hold down the shift key and hit return twice, it'll give you 2 line breaks. And in the 2 line breaks, at the 2 line breaks, so you're going to have your main prompt at the top. That's your context. You're telling ChatGPT here's who I care about. Here's their challenge. Here's what's important to me. And then we're going to write one more prompt that's going to be the actual prompt here. So shift return twice. We'll give you 2 line breaks, and then give me 20 specific, innovative ideas that will make a difference. And so I'm going to go do this live with you. We're going to do this live on the internet here. So here's my, there's my prompt, and I'm going to hit shift return twice. And then I'm going to go get my second, what did I say? Give me, what is it? 20 specific, innovative ideas. Give me 20 specific, innovative ideas that will make a difference. And we're going to move really quickly through this. I want you to play along. So if you're in ChatGPT, you can just use the free ChatGPT. So I care deeply about people who are affected by AI. They're challenged with uncertainty about their work, identity, and future. Human agency, community, and self-expression are important to me. Give me 20 specific, innovative ideas that will make a difference. Okay. The Great Repurpose Audit, a guided personal inventory, job grief circles, small facilitated groups, AI shadowing lab, future self interviews. That's kind of cool. Human advantage profiles. Let's see. AI for the anxious. I like that. That's a good title. Community skill swaps, local online circles where people trade real world skills, AI workflows, and encouragement like that. The identity to value translator, rehearsing the future workshops, the human portfolio, AI literacy through passion projects. Okay, I like this one. Okay, so number 12, we're going to pick number 12. So what I want you to do is I want you to just quickly look through what came out of your list. Actually, what would be good is I'm just checking time. We've got, that's 25, 35. Are we late? I'm over by 5 minutes. Is that right, Joe? Because we're not on generously lead yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you're right. Yep.
Right, going into generously lead. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Just follow along with me. We're going to go really quickly through this, and you can come back to this. But first thing we do, you give the thing context. You say, give me 20 ideas. Now I'm just going to say, I like number 12. Write me a business plan. We'll do it as a crappy prompt. Write me a business plan for number 12. Oh, and by the way, I made a typo on like. AI does not care about typos. It figures stuff out that I can't believe it figured out. All right, so now we've got a business plan, and it put it into what's called a canvas. So I can actually go into this document and edit it. I can download this as like a Google Doc at the end. But here's a whole business plan for, let's see, AI literacy through passion projects is a human-centered education transformation business that helps people become confident, capable AI users. Cool. Love it. Great. The core insight is simple. Let's see. Here's the problem, right? So it knows what business plans are. Here's the opportunity. I could turn this into a deck. Here's the vision. Here's the mission. Here's the core thesis. Here's the product concept. The flagship offer is a guided learning experience. Target customers. Okay, so there's our business plan. So now, let's see, I'll go here. So now I'm going to write a brand brief. So now I'm going to say, great, write me a brand brief for, we'll say for a local community focus. And I spelled focus wrong. Again, it won't care. And so now it's going to write me a brand brief. Brand essence, a welcome, human-centered local initiative, the brand purpose, the mission, the vision. If you've ever written brand briefs, you know that they're like a pain, right? They take a while. This might be a core part of what you do. And now you look at this and you're like, oh, it just does that now? Now, what you'll learn is it probably doesn't do it as good as you do, but it did it really quick. Okay, the next thing is, okay, so now I'm going to say, that's still writing the brand brief. Let it finish. I'm going to say, now give me 20 name ideas. Are we done? Oh, it's still going. Okay, done. So now I'm going to say, give me 20 name ideas. So follow along. Come up with 20 name ideas for your business. The Project Human, the Curiosity Lab, Made with AI. I like Made with AI. Future Ready Human First. I think it needs to be AI. Made with AI. AI for Real Life. I like AI for Real Life. All right, what did it recommend? AI for Real Life. Okay, good. The strongest based on my ear, based on what you're building. I like AI for Real Life. And then what are we going to do next? We're going to write a creative brief. Okay. Write a creative brief for a physical, I'll call it poster awareness campaign. Or you could just say, write me a creative brief. It literally doesn't matter. And so now it's going to do that. So an important thing that's going on here, every one of the way ChatGPT works is the more context you give it, the better it gets. So we started with a decent amount of context up front, and then we created a business brief, and then we created a brand brief. Then we created a name, then we picked a name. Now we're creating a creative brief. And where we're going to end up is we're going to make a poster for this business that didn't exist 5 minutes ago, 7 minutes ago. So there's primary objectives. So it's still writing this thing. And then the last prompt is going to be generate a poster based on the creative brief. All right. So we'll get to the bottom of this. Avoid blue glowing robot faces, visual territories to explore, real people, real projects. It's still going. And we're almost done here. We're going to do the last prompt. Yeah. It's still going. It's very excited about writing this creative brief. Okay, we're done. Great. So now generate a poster based on the creative brief. And I'm going to say create image. And then we're going to go. And if you didn't know this, ChatGPT can make images, and it can make images with text. It can make infographics. Maybe one of your parts of your project was go do some research on these kind of training programs. And you can say, now take that research and turn that into a powerful infographic that visualizes the findings, and it will do it remarkably well. That Lego thing I did at the beginning, that's how I did that. I had a concept, I gave it my concept, I refined it, organized the thoughts, and then I just went and I did a bunch of different experiments to make images until one hit that communicated what I want. I don't even remember the name of our business. AI for Real Life, I think, right? Here we go. Learn AI through what matters to you. AI for Real Life. Local workshops for everyday people. Find a session near you. www.aiforreallife.org. QR code. And I wouldn't be surprised if the QR code worked. Actually, we can find that out, can't we? It actually works. Let's see. Camera. Let's see if it actually works. Nope. Too bad. Okay. Um, anyway, so there you can see we went from something that you're personally passionate about, you're personally tied into, and in a single tool, very, very quickly went from nothing to something to an execution that doesn't suck, right? Like this is usable. Like we could go launch this business. Anybody want to start a business? Here we go. All right. So that's that. So, and I'll get you these slides so you can obviously do this when you've got more time. And you can also be a lot more. This little list I have here, pick an idea, write a business plan, do a brand brief. You can come up with your own list of those and just work your way down through an idea, just run down a rabbit hole, sort of elevating a single idea into some amplified form, can be really exciting. And now I want to talk about sort of moving into the conversation part of where we are.
Kyle, I wonder if you gave a very specific prompt, and I'm wondering if people have actually done that, they can, and if they haven't but still want to, they could take a moment to do that before we get into breakouts, so that they have something they've done in order to share.
Yeah, hopefully you've been playing along. If you haven't, that's fine too. But yeah, just jump in. Do you want me to go back to that previous slide?
Yeah, just to make sure, like that. I love the thing you care about, something you're challenged. And if you just put that prompt in and looked at the ideas, even if you didn't get to what you do with the idea that you've chosen, but if you got to the point of 20 and you might have an inkling of one, that might be a great prompt, a point for conversation with others.
I think that's a great idea, Joe. And the other thing, how do you pick one of the 20? It's like any brainstorming session. You know that moment in brainstorming sessions where you like get the chills and the room goes silent for a moment, everyone goes, "Oh, yeah, that one." Like when you're reading through ideas, that when you give AI enough context that's relevant to you, what it's reflecting back to you is stuff that is a reflection of what you put in there. So if you put in something thin and cold, you get thin and cold back. If you put in something that's really meaningful to you, it will reflect that back, and then go through those ideas. And that one idea that's like makes your heart go, "Ooh, that's a good one." Pick that one, right? Because then all of a sudden, AI is not this abstract tool. AI is this amplifier of this thing that's really important to you. So generous leadership. One of the things that is kind of the core tenets of the AI salon, one of our values is generosity. And generous leadership looks like learn out loud, share what you're doing, share what's working, share what's not working, ask someone else for help. So what it looks like a lot in the AI salon is people create stuff and then they contribute what they created, or even if what they created is horrifically bad, they will share that and we'll all laugh at it. Or maybe they'll make a joke at my expense. But put it out there and contribute what you're learning. And then practice in community. One thing that I think is incredibly important, and we'll talk about that after we have the breakouts, is just this idea of get your butt in a community. What's about to happen to all of us is everything's about to transform. Jobs are going to transform, businesses are going to transform. We're personally going to go through stuff. Doing it on your own is going to suck. And so find a way to get in community. I mean, this community is a great one. You're already in this one. Maybe there are subgroups in here that are going to be AI focused, right? If you want to start to play in this game, that's the thing to do. So with that, Joe, why don't we open it up and why don't you sort of bring us through the conversation here, set up how you want us to talk about what we're going to talk about in our breakouts.
Yeah. So Kyle took you through, and thank you, Kyle, for it gave us a good breadth of
I know it was fast and a lot. Sorry, it was I sort of machine gunned it out there, but hopefully
I think if you've had an experience in the play I think, you know, if you did take a chance and you maybe did it while Kyle was talking, maybe you might want to share that. But he walked us through this intentionality about experimentation. And that was this last part, taking yourself and taking it from a point of values and purpose. That's what I'd like you to focus on in the breakout. If you could answer those 3 questions and put them in the form of a prompt, what showed up? Let's take a minute, and I'm just going to give you a minute. Maybe if you could share that screen again. I'd like everybody to just do that. Generate those possibilities, those 20 possibilities that you could choose from for your next step. And in this idea of generously lead, it's sharing what your intention is. Look, based upon these 20, this is what I had. These were my values. This is the 20 it gave me. But here's the one that I would like to experiment with coming out of this, and share that with each other in your breakouts.
Yeah. The other thing that I would request that you share in those breakouts is from where you were before we started your relationship with AI, like, especially if you hadn't really played with it, you know, is there something in what we did today that, you know, shook you, woke you up? You had a Kevin McAllister moment, like the, you know, that moment. Share that as well, because I'd love to understand, you know, if anything shifted there as well.
Any questions on that?
Did you want us to throw an answer out here, or did you want us to wait?
I want you, Laura's going to put you in your back into your breakout groups so you can share. And then we'll do a little debrief before we close. But you'll have some good time now to do that, like maybe 15 minutes in your breakouts. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to send you guys. See you in a bit.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone, from your breakouts. Welcome back. It's always fun to see the faces come back into the Zoom room.
It was too short.
It always is, right?
It certainly always is. Yes. So welcome back. I'm going to just close out the last few minutes, but just first, any quick reactions, feelings?
John,
what's coming to your mind now?
I think, John, you should share that final piece that you talked about. I thought it was really valuable. John, you're on mute.
Okay, I'll do my best to summarize it. Hi, and thanks for asking. I've been working on a project where we are trying to help college and university presidents deal with the impossible questions and challenges that are increasingly complexifying their worlds and driving them crazy and driving them out of their profession. And the approach was to utilize my own board and advisors of the Renaissance Center to generate an initial set of ideas and plans, and then to interview 7 established, successful presidents of colleges and universities, take the interview content, digest it, and learn from it as best we could. And we asked GPT Chat to take a look at the interview content and share back with us the commonalities or the things that were most significant. And it provided a structure. It gave us, let's say, 5 overall headings that seemed to be the core structure, and then filled in with bullet points on each one of those. And the structure is the thing we tended to accept uncritically. What we criticized more closely was the content and the bullet points, and we wound up rewriting a good deal of the content and refining it and making it feel like the project that we intended to work with. And we've gone now full cycle and evaluated that. And in the course of listening to today, I am now inspired to go back, not to the content, but to the structure that was suggested to us, to see if that feels real. It was so quick and smart to say, you've got this ton of data, here's a structure.
Yeah.
And I accepted that somewhat blindly, have worked on the content, The content is in a pretty good place, we think, but we've not questioned the structure. So that's where we're going to go back.
And John, it will be really interesting to do that with the original data you'd given it, and then do it again with all of your refined, cleaned up content and see whether it creates similar structures both ways.
Yes. Thank you, Ellen.
Nice. Thank you, John. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. In our little breakout, we talked about this structure of we're walking into the future, and we can walk into the future with very specific tasks to do, but all of those tasks may change in the future, what we do. And so this little framing, Kyle, that you shared with us around values and identities and purpose, that provides a structure. Even if what we do changes, who we are can move forward. So that's kind of how I would tie up that last bit. I want to make an invitation, and then as we look to close out, invite you to think about a few things here. Let's see. There we go. So you've just experienced the play, create, and share. The sharing generously can continue. So part of the premise of the work that Kyle has done in the Readiness Labs and this experimentation is the value that comes when you go through it together. Whatever that prompt is, whatever that project is, you now have a start. And maybe, hopefully, you'll take it forward in the next couple of weeks. And if you do, we're going to offer up that AMI is a community of sharing and practice. And if you would like to get back together with a group to continue the play, continue the experimentation, and continue the sharing, drop your email in the chat, and Laura will set that up. It may be a big group, it may be several small groups. We'll see what happens. This is an experiment, but we want to continue that theme of experimentation together. So that's one thing that's coming next. The other is, if you would, I'm going to share a slide in a second so that you can provide feedback so that we can continue to get better with these virtual events. Join us in Boston. We do have that, of course, coming up. Hopefully, April 22nd and 24th. We'll see you out here, and it'll be spring-like. Fingers crossed. I trust it will. And then next, there is a book club. So first, here's a reminder of the AMI conference that's coming up in Boston, and then this is the Positive Turbulence Book Club that has been started. What's up next is Emergent Strategy, Shaping Change, Changing Worlds. That's a book. If you're interested in participating in that, there is a registration link that Laura is putting in the chat that you can participate in there. The last one was November 12th and February 11th. The next one's May 13th. And then here is, if you would, before we move into our hospitality suite, if you would please complete the feedback form, which, Laura, if I'm not seeing the chat, let me open the chat to see if it's there. Yeah,
Okay.
if you could put that in the chat for people, that would be wonderful. As we do that, I'd like to, say thank you to Kyle for joining us. Kyle will be with us, I think, for a little part. I know you've got some other meetings that conflicted, and I think you may still be there for a little part of Boston. I hope so.
I'll be there to help kick things off. We're gonna talk about the Great Repurpose, which is a thing that I just created that talks to and names the invisible crisis of meaning that's sitting underneath the jobs crisis that's coming. So I'm going to talk about the Great Repurpose, which I'm actually really excited about.
And we'll be there with you. Great. I'm going to stop the sharing. The next part, now that it's 5 o'clock on the dot, would be inviting anybody who would like to stick around and just visit, share, continue the conversation for the next half hour or so. We'll be here.
And then maybe too, Kyle, I know you had like maybe one more slide of if people want to connect with you, how could they do that? Like, is there anything that you could share about if they want to reach out or speak to the AI salon or?
Sure. I'll share my slide. Let's see. On LinkedIn, I'm at Kyle Shannon. On X, I'm at most of the socials, I'm at Kyle Shannon. So feel free to jump over there. Let's see. This was just one. I said this before, but I really do believe that the next 3 years are going to be there's going to be a lot of transformation. There's going to be a lot of forced transformation. So I think getting in community. So the AI Salon we created this the week ChatGPT came out. So if you go to thesalon.ai, that'll take you there. And there are 2 other AI salons. So make sure that you get that URL because you might end up at the wrong AI salon. We're the one that's about human beings at the center of the conversation. And then I think this URL was just put in there, but if you want to check out what the Great Repurpose is all about, that's in there. I'll play one other thing. So one of the amazing things about AI right now is you don't just have to sort of do one thing. Like if you have an idea, I've got to write a paper on this, and then you do all your research and you're headed toward this single destination of write a paper. When I came up with the concept of the Great Repurpose, it's something I've been thinking about for a year and a half, and then I'm like, oh, I've got to write an article and I've got to do all the things, make a website. The very first thing I did once I had the idea and came up with the name was I made a music video for it. So I'm going to play the music video. So this was actually the first piece of content that was created for an idea, was not the thing itself. It was an ancillary piece of content, but I'm really happy with it. And it just goes to show you that we live in a time where you can think really tangentially about an idea and just reconnect all those dots very quickly.
Clocking, card swipe, smile stuck on like a badge. Yeah. Same chair, same light, living inside a name tag. Every praise, every raise, pin tight to the shirt on my chest. If I'm not what I do, then tell me what's left.
Then the smart machines came and took my place, emptied out my inbox, cleared my days, watched my tasks disappear. Felt the quiet, felt the fear. If I'm more than the lines on my resume, more than numbers that I used to chase. When the work got lost, it canned all of us. It seems to be the great repurpose. The great repurpose. Desk on, badge beep, screen said roll redundant. Box plan, sold mug, future looking hunted. Sat home, hands still like they'd forgotten how to move. Heard my child laugh loud, do you wanna draw too?
Yeah, the smart machines came and took my place, sorted all the files I used to face. With my calendar wiped clean, I met the person in between. If I'm more than the lines on my resume, more than deadlines I obeyed each day. When the work got lost, it canned all of us. It seems to be the great repurpose. The great repurpose.
On the stories at the table, letters I forgot to send, songs I never finished, calls I owe my friends. I'm the hands that learn to garden, the neighbor's extra chair, the stranger on the subway who suddenly feels seen there. Let the smart machines come and take their place. They can chase the patterns, keep the pace. We'll be messy, we'll be real, we'll remember how to feel. Cause there's more than the lines on a resume, more than hours on a screen each day. When the work falls through, we finally see the proof. When the work got lost, they canned all of us. It seems to be the great purpose. The great repurpose.
Yeah. Thank you, Kyle. So, the very first gathering at the AMI conference in Boston, we'll start with that theme on that Wednesday evening together. So that's a nice bridge. Thank you, everybody. Again, hang if you'd like. We'll be here and hope to see you soon.